Material rewrite part 6. This time working with LODS. I know I'm going to be asked this question as soon as it's released, and it's how you can get LODS to work from the same materials, which before on Skyline was a complicated process. So I've got this example folder that a user sent to me because of a broken LOD error. Now what was happening on the old version was when this mesh was added to the scene, which was rail track with LOD, all the LODs would have materials, but the base mesh wouldn't show its material, and that was because it did not have a material file, this particular material file, duplicated and renamed to that name. But on the new version of Skyline, that is no longer required, and that's due to the fact that meshes, when loaded in, drag the material from whatever location. It's not from that file no more. So I'm going to drag this LOD to the scene, which, as you can see, the base mesh shows, and the second and all the other LOD versions pop out as need be. As you can see, there's a pop. We can do this several ways to make this a new asset. So we can either go through and just simply save that material, and all the files will be split to single files for the base mesh. If we go into the asset manager and we go into the thumbnail view, you will now, if we just need to refresh it, the first material matching that mesh has now been deleted, and those 3 materials have been put in its place. We want to use these 3 materials on all the different LOD meshes. Before, in the older version of Skyline, each LOD mesh had to have its own materials, which was a slow performance issue. Now we can just go through and we can delete those. We don't want them anymore. Unless you do want unique LOD materials, that's fine, but in this case we don't. Like in one of the previous, in the last part video, if we load those meshes in after rebooting Skyline, they're going to show a material error because their materials do not exist, because we just deleted the files. So what we need to do now is load in each LOD, like so, and as we can see, it has quite a lot of reduction from that being the base to the next level stage, the stage after, the stage after that, and then it starts getting really low poly, and that was obviously the full LOD one, so we don't need that. We don't need that one. If we go to their panels, we need to now reapply all the materials from the first mesh onto it. So we'll load it up, and as you can see, that's what we require. We need these materials applied to each LOD version. So we'll start with this one, and I believe it's wood, metal, and that. There we go. And now that has those materials applied, we'll do the same for this one. I'll just go through quickly and apply them all. There we go. Those LODs are now all referencing these new material files. The last thing we need to do in order for them to be usable is to bake the mesh down. So if we just go through each one, bake them down, and now that is each LOD stage referencing those 3 materials which the base mesh is using. That's a lot better performance that you'll have in the scene by using that sort of method. So if we load in the base or go to the base mesh and now we edit the material, it's now found those materials. Let's say we add a bit of shiny to the metal. And let's just change these. Let's go to the textures folder, to the cube maps, and let's load on this reflection. There we go. And now we have shiny railways. And if we save that, only that material will be saved to the singular file. As you can see, it's updated already in the material there. And all the others have not updated yet. And to prove that the LODs are all based off that file, if we right click and sync materials, now all of the stages have got a shiny railway. So if we delete all these, we go back to the asset manager and back to the folder with our railways. That's the LOD mesh, and if we drag in the LOD mesh, we now have the base mesh and all the LOD stages referencing the same material. Yeah, really easy. Okay, so this hasn't been shown yet. So say we want to have a LOD stage. Let's go choose a LOD stage. Let's say LOD stage 5, the last one, and we don't want that to have a shiny railway and want to reduce some other sections. We can now go to the edit material, select one, so we'll go with the metal because that's what we were using before. We'll turn off the shiny, which is readjusted the shiny on both of the meshes in the scene there, as you can see. But this time we're going to use the Save As button, and we're going to save this to the same folder, and we're going to call this Rail LOD Metal. We'll save that. If we re-click on the folder, we should now have a new material which is called Rail LOD Metal, which was based off the material we were editing in the scene, and it doesn't have the shiny. So we've got the LOD selected, and we'll drag on the LODed metal, and if we bake that back to the file, that LOD is now using that metal, but it's still using the wood and the stone from the other meshes. So if you do want different materials for each LOD, it's easy enough to set up, but if you also want each LOD to reference the base materials from the very first high poly mesh, that is also possible. And that's how you deal with LODs.